Hello, this is the Smiling Conscious Traveler podcast. I am Ottmar Braunicker from Austria, and my guest today is Owen Fox from Ireland. Welcome, Owen. Owen is a unique
Thank you very
human.
much, Ottmar Braunicker. Happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to join you all. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that you came onto my podcast and that you were so spontaneous to do that with me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really happy to be here in all honesty, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you more personally and also all of your viewers. So
yeah,
thanks to the universe, good to be
thanks to
alive.
the universe. Yeah, thank you so much. So, let me introduce you with your own words. Owen is a unique human and divine being just like you. His passion and purpose is to live a life of innate freedom, which he says is our natural right, and life of holistic well-being and high frequency, getting and making the most out of life, living from his authentic self and heart, and helping others to do the same. This involves healing, empowerment, self-love, and self-care, reprogramming, and seeing, living the truth, letting go of what limits and blocks us, especially our perception, beliefs, unhealthy, holistic habits and choices, and learning to connect more with nature and our true divine self and intuition. I skipped a little bit of the rest of the introduction because it's really, really long, but we might get into the details during the interview.
Okay.
So welcome again. I'm really enjoying that. So,
Awesome.
that is the first question. How do you live in freedom, especially in those times?
in these times that exist at the moment.
Yeah, and in general, how do you manage to live in freedom?
Yeah, tough question. It's a good question. I like that you're picking something that I wrote because I find it fun to pick and investigate and to open our minds to more. Well, when I wrote that originally this morning, what I meant when I wrote it was to live in freedom is it's more like a state of like feeling free in the flow, to be in the flow, to be allowed to be who you are, to choose and to allow yourself to be who we are. How we feel. To be authentic, because if you're living in fear and afraid of like how other people perceive you, if you're afraid to blow your nose in public, or if you're afraid to show yourself, to show your true colors, or if you're afraid to like wear your heart on your sleeve and to be honest or vulnerable, or that all that bonds us like in bondage. We're shackled or we're limited or we're scrunched up, whereas to live in freedom is like expanded and open and like luminous and bright like the sun, or like something big and beautiful, because like we are, or our higher self is, but we are too, we are big and beautiful. So all these thoughts and programming and traumas and fears definitely shackle us or bond us, whereas healing and learning and unprogramming, like I said, and realizing our limited beliefs and thoughts, perceptions, and interpretations of any situation or moment. Yeah, that's how I feel we live in freedom, and it's really related to emotional freedom. Feel good emotionally, and you feel good, and that's why I said originally a few minutes ago, like in the flow, because when you feel free and light and allowed and able, then we're able to go with the flow emotionally and express and feel, and to feel our emotion, and to act and speak with our emotion, with love and integrity, and loving our own emotion and accepting our own emotion. That's part of living in freedom, because if we judge ourselves for not being good enough, or for being bad for having a certain emotion, or if we judge ourselves to be wrong for having an emotion, then we're bonded or shackled, instead of living free and open, like a wave, like free and big and open in the ocean. Like, so we're either the wave like flowing, or we're the person surfing the wave with a sense of harmony and balance, instead of the wave just crashing and us falling in the sea, kind of, when we judge and live in all these limitations.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
yeah.
there's a lot of things in there, and what I perceive too to be the recipe for freedom. Like you said, unprogramming or some. I think you also called it reprogramming, but I call it like live as if you don't know.
Mm.
Just yeah. Forget that you
Oh,
know
that's
it
good.
already, that you know already how life works. Just
Yeah, that's
figure it
nice. I
out
like that.
every day as if it's a new life.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. Yeah, that's I like that too.
Um,
Yeah, very. Yeah.
I just want to show my beautiful son here because our listeners and viewers might wonder who is making noises here beside.
Your cat.
But I decided I decided to show to the world that I have a son, I have a family. And even if I'm recording a podcast, it's part of my life. It was
That's nice.
actually also a recommendation from my mentor. He said, why don't you show that you are a father with two kids
Yeah.
and they are part of your life? Yeah.
Yeah. Happy to hear
So,
that, Otmar.
thank you.
I think it's sweet and beautiful. It connects you with your viewers, and it shows that you're a real man, a real
Mm,
person, and you have children, and it's a sense of intimacy and connection and authenticity, and
yeah,
that's what it's about, really, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. And I think nowadays, I mean, I'm working actually at the TV station, and when I see all these TV programs and these shows and whatever, it's everything. It has to be clean, no interruptions, no real life. And but I think that's what
Yeah.
people want to see nowadays. Actually, I got this feedback before I started my podcast. I asked my potential audience, "What do you want to see? What do you want to hear?" And most
Mm.
of it, what came up was authentic, real people, real life, real conversations.
There you
And
go. Yeah, I
that's
love
what
that.
I'm giving my audience. That's my
I'm
real
happy.
life. There is nothing else what I can
Uh,
show you. That's my life.
well, that means a lot to me, and I'm very glad you're doing that, Otmar, and interviewing guests and just being yourself in the
Yeah.
entire process.
And what I'm enjoying too, and I'm saying that almost in every episode, is I love to connect with people, and I'm learning so much about those people whom I thought I knew them. I learn even more about them and about their life, about their past, about what is their passion. And yeah, I'm willing to learn from you today.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm happy to be here, and yeah, we did meet before, so you get to know you get to know me more, and I'll get to know you more.
yeah, let's continue with that, how we met. I was on a trip to Las Vegas in 2014, and I decided on the way back, I don't want to go home to Austria.
Mm.
I want to stay in Ireland. And maybe you don't even know the whole story, but
No, not at
now I'm
all.
telling you. Uh, I decided to stay in Ireland because I had quite a lot of troubles in Austria, especially with debts, and I didn't want to go back to my old life.
Mm.
And I didn't have much money when I landed in Dublin airport. I was just a couple of euros in my pocket, so I called my dad and I asked him, and he said, "Oh, this doesn't sound good when you're calling. This means trouble." And he forwarded me to his girlfriend, and she said, "Okay, Otmar, I will send you 100 euros, but that's it. The rest is up to you." And I said to myself, okay, I want to stay here. With 100 euros, I can survive for a couple of days, maybe a week or two. But I have to figure that out how it goes on from this point. And I went to a hostel, and from there I did my research, and I found a vegan community.
Our friend Minda.
Our mutual friend Minda was leading this, yeah. And he posted somewhere in some kind of forum that he has a place where I could stay, but there is a condition that I have to, yeah, I should live with them the vegan lifestyle. And I said, okay, that is interesting. I never did this before. Let's try it. It was definitely a challenge in the beginning, but yeah, that's how we actually met, because you are living this vegan lifestyle for quite a while too already. And I
Yeah.
think that's how you somehow met Minda too, that you had the
Yeah.
same ideas about, yeah.
We were going to a raw food potluck, a raw food monthly meeting, and he offered kindly to give me a lift, and I didn't. I was a stranger at that time, so
Minda
yeah.
is really a genuine person too. I mean, I'm
Minda's
so
awesome.
I'm so glad that I met him. He,
Me too.
as far as I know, he's in Costa Rica now, not so.
Actually, funnily enough, he just messaged me on Messenger before this call, like 5 minutes before we started this call. So I just asked him which country he's in. But yeah, usually he lives in a vegan community in Costa Rica.
And
he works elsewhere.
And Alex from Ukraine, he's there
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I see them all the time together on the pictures when I look on Facebook. That's why I was asking. Anyway, these are our mutual friends, and this is how we met, actually, through this vegan lifestyle, I would say. And I learned it at this time, what it means. And in the beginning, it was a real big challenge for me to give up certain kinds of foods, what I thought I need in my life. And I admit honestly, I'm back to this old life. I'm back to this old way of eating. And I admit too that it's not always so beneficial to my health. I feel it definitely, that it's depleting my energy.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe that would be a good point to continue talking about your vegan diet.
Yeah.
How did you actually got onto this train or into this journey?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like I still am eating a vegan diet, and it's been 14 years now. Like the years just crept in. Like I wasn't paying any attention until it was like 13 years. Like, wow, 12, 13 years. Wow, that's mad. Where did it? But now, to be honest, like I used to eat meat twice a day, and even up to the age of, I think it was 23, 24, maybe 24. And I never heard of vegetarianism. I never heard of a vegetarian person or a friend or a magazine. And I ate meat twice a day. Like I said, like I was pretty decent, ate a lot, you know. So then one day after my first girlfriend and myself like broke up, it was a while later. I was just living in the same house sharing at the time. One day I was on the internet and I just somehow saw videos of factory farming, and it just horrified me and saddened me so much. Like I was crying a lot, and I just watched a few hours because I just thought this is like feels so bad to see all this stuff. But even at that age, I just thought like I still want to see it instead of pretending or hiding that it's not there or in existence. So I thought I'd like learn a bit more. So I watched another like hour or more. I don't know, an hour or two more, and I just like felt extremely sad and upset and like cried, like I said. And the next day, I had some meat in the fridge. Actually, it's funny because it was in January, and I had like I've been practicing a cookbook which included meat and stuff. So I had recipes. I had some things in the fridge. So I had some meat in the fridge, and I was wondering like, should I throw it away? Should I eat it? Or should I cook it for my mum because she's visiting the next day? So I was going through an ethical dilemma. I was like trying to ponder in my head. So in the end, I can't remember what I did. I think I may have cooked it for my mum, or I may have thrown it out. I can't remember which one, but I didn't eat it personally. And since then, then I was almost fully vegan from day one. Every Sunday at the farmers market, I'd buy 2 organic yogurts that were cow milk. But then after 3 months, I gave those 2 yogurts up and I switched to just simply all raw food vegan diet, which meant that I wasn't cooking anything. So it was more of a different frequency diet. So that was pretty cool, but pretty challenging. It was very hard to give up cooked food and it was okay staying on it once I created a habit, but yeah, personally, I find cooked food to be like very difficult to give up for a lot of people, including my friend who and I have a lot of friends who are interested in raw food, of course. But at the moment, I'm just eating like basically all raw at the moment, for the last few days. And I go here and there like a week or a few weeks or a few days all raw,
Mm.
and then I often get lured back into the smells of cooked food. But I definitely feel my best all like very high raw or all raw. I know it's a different story, but yeah, 14 years on, like I did break vegan. Like I basically I haven't been this extremely strict like vegan for all the time. Like I did have a few like lasagnas, or I had moments of sort of forgetfulness or stress, and I just emotionally ate, or I just had, I don't know, but I'm not really
Mm.
like that anymore. Like I'm far more in tune now with the animals and nature, and my own very crystal clear standards of my own bond and connection with animals. So these days there isn't really an exception, even if I'm sad or stressed or having a relationship issue or nothing like that, or just feeling really tired and off physically.
Mm.
On the rare occasion, I would, like I could or would on the rare occasion, like break it. Few and far between, but I don't really do that anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not perfect. I'm not pretending to be, and I'm just being authentic. Like, yeah. Mhm.
I would describe it this way. We are still here, human beings living the human experience. we are, yeah, we are unlimited, infinite beings, how my mentor would describe it. And I add to this, like, yeah, living the human experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, like
um,
veganism isn't who I am. I also want to say, because like sometimes I want to remember people are listening to me. Like, it's not my label. It's not my identity. It's not who I am. I don't have to defend anything or live up to anything. I'll choose what I want to do in life, and I'll live up to um, my own integrity or standards or ethics or beliefs. And I just want to try to do my best to live up to my definition of my own integrity and standards and beliefs, etc.
mm,
And basically speaking, just to, like, if I was listening or if I was younger, like what I like to hear and what I like to share is like veganism isn't a label. It's more like a diet and potentially a lifestyle to a degree.
mm,
It's, for me, it's energy. It's the energy I consume, and raw food is a higher energy than cooked food, typically by a long shot. Typically, okay. Some raw foods aren't as high, as great or high vibrational or health inducing as maybe a bit of like cooked soup, for example. But for the most part, it's all about energy, frequency, and vibration. And
mm,
my own standards and my motto is to treat others like I'd like to be treated, and to do unto others like I'd like to have done unto me. Um, I also feel very strongly that animals have very strong feelings, very similar to humans, like emotions and physical
mm,
pain or pleasure or happiness, peace receptors, and disturbance of peace receptors, like stress receptors. And I think
mm,
we all know this for any of us who have a pet or who works or live or is in close contact with animals. So, like, my main passion is about spirituality and personal evolution and growth and development, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But veganism just happens to fall under the umbrella of some of my biggest standards or ethical beliefs.
yeah.
So I, in the same way, like I love people, I care for people, I care for their feelings, I want to nurture and protect, like my standards of what love is. I'm writing a book on this. I'm writing a few books, but
Yeah.
what is love? It's not just a word, 4 letters. It means something. It's not just something you say, it's something you show or do. Um, and what is love? Like love for me, and this is how I try and treat insects, plants if possible for sure, and animals, and definitely humans, undoubtedly humans also, which is to protect. If you love your mother or you love your child, would you protect them or let them be hurt? So would you nurture them? Would you build them up? Like would you
Mm,
empower them? So that's
mm,
what I try and do to everything and everyone in life, without being an interferer or going places where I'm not welcome. But just generally speaking, I try and love, protect, nurture, care, build, empower, keep safe, physically, mental, emotional nurturance. a whole lot of these qualities just simply happen to fall into the idea of veganism. It's just that it happens to be aimed at animals. But I like the respect and honor are very powerful big words for me too, and treating others with dignity. And a whole lot of the stuff that happens in the non-vegan industry involves direct, basically direct violations of this code of conduct. Like there's in the dairy industry, like, you know, the babies are taken away from the mothers, and there's a lot of crying and sadness and wailing and shrieking and running after each other and all. And then often, like, they're just overly impregnated and milked extensively year in, year out. Even if it's grass-fed, similar things happen. It's just to a lesser brutal extent. Still, there may not be as much separation or as much grotesque killing, but there is a degree of separation. And then the baby boys are typically unwanted in dairy farms. That's why when we drive by and we see a field of those, they're all young female. They're girls, or they could be adolescents.
Yeah.
But like feasting animals, we aren't seeing a natural community of like boys and girls, mothers and fathers, grandparents, grandchildren. It's just a whole lot of like young enough women, be it a sheep. It's we have, like, I was raised to not even think about this whatsoever, you know. And I'm not judging anybody either. I'm just sharing what I've learned and realized.
That's what I love with you, that you don't judge anyone because of his or her choices.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this, but I don't want to judge because most people, and including myself, don't know. I definitely think that's why Jesus said, forgive them for they don't know what they do. And there's areas in life I've messed up and inflicted hurt or harm or pain or emotional pain, especially like my partners, you know, who I'm typically closest to. And we have the most emotional, most relationships have a certain degrees of emotional disconnection or emotional arguing, hurt, pain, or trauma, or fighting with each other, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not perfect. I don't pretend to be, and I'm not here to judge anybody. But I do find it sweet to know what love is for me, at least for me, and to live by it more, because it makes me feel extremely happy to love. It's a good feeling to, like, this is why you're making these videos, because you care. You want to build and nurture. You're not trying to hurt anyone else or break their stuff. Yeah, you're not. So separating families, separating children from parents, and overly milking, because milking, they say, could be as tiring or more tiring as growing a baby. All the breast milk, which is usually taken extensively too. Yeah, it's just the energy of, or the frequency of, or vibration of exploitation and using something as a thing to be used at their total loss, but your total advantage. Yeah, that obviously that is the side of loving. It's hurtful, it's painful, like it's an energy that's corrupt to a certain degree.
There's something else. What came to my mind while you were talking is 1 month before we met, actually, in Ireland, I was also in the United States, and I lived together for a couple of days with someone who was vegetarian. And I asked him, why are you doing this? And he said, it's because of the energy, what was going on before this animal died.
Yeah.
This fear, this panic before it was killed. I'm eating that too if I eat that meat. And I don't want that. That was something what stuck in my mind since then. And it doesn't matter if it, I mean, there's some farmers who really do it in a very gentle way. I don't know if you can kill someone in a gentle way or some being in a gentle way, but they are doing it, that they're shooting it, the cow, for instance, on the meadow, on their own meadow, and they're just... But at the end of the day, they are still in fear, these animals, because they know when there's a big bang, then one of them will die.
Yeah, you see your family. It's like you. Like if bigger or more advanced technological aliens like decide to enslave you, like I forgot to use the word slavery. It's enslaving and exploiting and using another species, another living being, etc. You know. So like you wouldn't be, if somebody took you and kept you to only live in a town or not a field. Well, we'll just make it bigger, make it a town. and you could never leave. You wouldn't like that, especially if you had to give them a whole lot of your stuff, like your milk, or even just like males are typically killed, baby boys, because they don't produce milk. So yeah, like if your mother was like killed or impregnated every year, or your daughter, or like if anyone's like mother or daughter was, or if you are a female now listening, or if I was a female, none of us would agree to this whole idea that like we or our brother or sister or mom or dad or child would be killed. And what's the word that you say, like integrally, or like killed ethically or something, or nicely? Like it's never a nice way to be killed, and your one shot at this lifetime be taken away prematurely just because you want something from them. And it's not even necessary, in my opinion, unless you're starving in the wild. But yeah,
I mean, there's only one way where I would say that it is ethically okay for me, is when someone wants to eat meat, then he should kill it by himself. Because
yeah,
most of the people wouldn't do that. And I
100%.
experienced that when I was in Uganda. There was just a short story. I woke up one morning. I was living with my wife there for 7 months. Actually, we met there in Uganda. My wife is from Uganda.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. I woke up and there was a girl, like 14-year-old, standing in our door, holding a chicken in her hand, which was still alive. Kept together, she held it with the wings so it can't fly away. And I told my wife, look, there's a girl standing there with a chicken. Do you know who she is? Yeah, I invited my sister. She said she should bring something what she wants to eat for this evening.
Yeah.
That's how they do it in Uganda, and they buy it at the market when the chicken is still alive. They torture it on the way home because the chicken is still alive. Sometimes they are hanging upside down from the motorbike, still alive. And at the end, in the evening or at midday, this 14-year-old girl came with a big knife, cut the throat, and cooked the chicken.
Yeah.
And I saw everything that, and I didn't want to eat the chicken anymore.
Yeah.
And that is why I say,
saying.
if you want to eat meat, then please kill it by yourself.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Let's see if you still want to eat it.
100%. And like, I like the way you share that story, because it just, the whole word this is revolving around is connection. Even the word meat is a dissociative, disconnective, hiding word. It's actually decaying animal muscle or animal organ. It's old, rotting. It's in the process of putrefaction. Often they use like chemicals to make it still colorful red, but really, if you don't use any colorful red stuff and chemicals that are bad for you, a lot of the meat in the shops will be like brownishy and smellier. So it's a bit like hiring a hitman. Like, what's better, to have someone kill somebody else by hiring a hitman, or is it better for us to do it? Like, either way, it's not ethical to kill, but it's not nice to kill, and there's pain and suffering, and there's obviously no one agreed that killing another human is fine, as long as like, or killing another pet. Like, there's a lot of discrepancies with the whole idea. Like, it's okay to kill. You can kill animals and kill a lot of them, but you can't touch a dog or a cat of your neighbor, or you would never touch your own cat or dog. So
I mean, we are conditioned in our society, in the Western civilization, to love cats and dogs. In China, they eat them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just our conditioning.
Yeah,
what animal should we love, and what animal are we allowed to eat?
Yeah, I made a video once, because I have a YouTube channel, and this video or this topic would be called "Who is Deserving of Love?" So is it only people we spend time with who deserve love or have a right to life? Is it only cats, pets, and horses, or animals that we live with that have a right to life and that deserve care and protection and love? It doesn't matter if we don't see them or they live somewhere else in a different place. Who cares about them, you know? So where is it all lining up rationally or reasonably or logically?
I mean, yeah, I let's say this way, I don't want to go too deep in this topic, because I wanted a little bit more uplifting topics. And
yeah, I know it's a little bit. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a bit like talking about what's going on in the world at the moment in terms of the children. It's a bit of
but
a sad thing to realize.
I'm still glad that we talked about it, because it's definitely something what people should be aware of when they are having food on their plate, or what they call food.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, what is on your plate, you contemplate on what you are actually eating here. And most of us, we don't even know what we are eating, because there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the food industry. And it's sometimes not even this in the food what is written on the package.
true. Yeah.
But yeah, actually, because you just heard the words truth, I remembered a fellow podcaster of me has a podcast called the Awakening Podcast. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
always says in the beginning, we are not telling a conspiracy theories, we are telling facts and truth, and we are not inviting whistleblowers, we are inviting truth tellers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah, I like that much more. Definitely, that's nice. I once didn't know what a whistleblower was. It's just somebody who was in an industry and then they left or they were fired and then they told the truth.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. So they know all about the secrets and the dark secrets. So that's what a whistleblower is. Yeah.
Definitely.
Truth. Truth will set you free, Yeah.
The truth will set you free.
Well, even
Okay.
though it's a sad subject, because there is pedophilia going on in the world tremendously in corrupt places, like massively, including maybe deep underground tunnels too. It's a sad topic, but would we rather it's the same way as like animal massacre, like there's sadness. Like I don't want to use too strong words, but something that's sad. The truth is a high vibration, so and we want it with love and compassion. We're not trying to judge, forget, like I said, like I hurt things, I've hurt people, like I've done things that I didn't know, and it's only gradually as I become more aware and aligned and the truth is crystallized deeper within me that I remember and feel it. That's when I be more consistent, and that's the way I am more these days with the whole idea or topic of veganism or animalism. So it's more crystallized in terms of human, because like I said, like I guess it's an overall vibration. Like it encompasses but yeah, it's about knowledge, it's about memory. It's good. I know it's a bit of a heavy, it can be feel heavy. And we have to ask ourselves, like, why does it feel heavy? Does it resonate with me that do my actions resonate? Or like, it's okay, we don't have to judge ourselves, but it's good to reflect and consider and ponder,
Yeah, let's say it this way. I actually dive also sometimes very deep in such topics, what you call, the truth. I mean, who knows what is the truth? I mean, that is the next question. But I did it actually the last 6 months very intensively, and I just think that connects nicely with what you told me up front before the interview about waking up. I was woke already, that's what I thought. But the last 6 months, it was really like a wake-up call, what happened in this world. That I think something doesn't really, how do you say, there seemed something wrong with the official narrative. But what I wanted to ask you is actually, you told me that you wanted to talk about the topic, what is waking up and why is it important?
Yeah, and how it's different or comes in different forms for different people, different forms of waking up.
So you mean this kind of waking up what I was just talking about, or something else?
There's different types of waking up, in my opinion, or at least you could call it that, So for me, for example, I used to say I started my awakening around 14 years ago when I was 24. I'm now 38 years young.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Same with my mum. She started at the same time, and both of us had ill health and exhaustion at that time. And now, all this time later, like we're very close, me and my mum. And all this time later, she's in her best, most vibrant, energetic health, and so am I. Like we do things at the same time, you know. But waking up for me back then was waking out of the automatic thoughts, the constant repetitive mental chatter, and focusing and thinking about the past and the future. The past and sadness, shame, guilt, regret, judgment, something wrong happened, look at me now. And then there's like thinking about the future, like, oh no, like I'm never going to have a girlfriend, or like this is never going to work out, or just like just anxiety, or like apprehension, or like fear. And so that was that form of waking up, because like that Eckhart Tolle helped teach me about this, and I started practicing mindfulness every single day for like a long time, like basically on and off all day long. It was like pretty extensive. Um, so that was like a form of meditation. You know, I was in a bit of a meditative, mindful, very slow, methodical mode, and I was always observing my mind and my thoughts. So I realized where nearly all of my suffering was coming from. It wasn't coming from right here, right now, in the present moment. It was coming from my interpretation of anything that may be happening right now, viewed with a negative viewpoint, combined with too extensive like thinking with the past and the future in more of a way that I described a minute ago, which caused me massive emotional suffering and mental turbulence. Affected my frequency and energy and vibration enormously. So when I started practicing this, I totally transformed rapidly. And within a few weeks, even 2 months, I said to myself, wow, I'm totally different. I'll never be the same ever again. And I'll never be depressed ever again in my life. Because like I was in a really bad physical state, but a really, really bad emotional state too. Yeah, I was suffering tremendously. So like Eckhart Tolle says, like people don't wake up from an average dream that's remotely pleasant or average. They wake up from a nightmare. So like I was in a very low state, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I did have an awful lot of baggage from my childhood too, which obviously like a lot of trauma and suffering from my childhood, which obviously was part of my energy and where I was in life at that moment.
I tell you, I was actually reading the introduction of your second book, and I got a little bit glimpse into your childhood, because you were writing about your father and your mother.
Yeah. I had a lot of issues with my father. You know, like he was abusive to everyone in the house, verbally, and had us all scared, and some of us stuttering, and yeah, he was a scary type of scaring man. Yeah, he passed on. Yeah, he said like sorry in spirit world, speaking to mediums, and yeah, I don't have any bad feelings towards him. We all do what we can. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I guess just to answer your question, awakening. I saw another part of awakening. So that was my transformative awakening. It was the biggest shift ever by a long shot. It was massive. But then there's also emotional maturity, where you're learning more about emotions, communication. A lot of things to learn in life, as we all know. Like it's a huge thing being alive as a human. I feel we come here as a divine spirit. We choose our parents, our society, our land, our community, our neighbor. Well, we choose where we know we're going to be born. We choose our country. And as basically we're choosing a blueprint or a plan for our life in many ways. And I do believe we have soul agreements as well, and big, massive things that happen, big, massive people, or big, massive maybe changes or losses or tragic events that have a massive impact on our life and shift the course or shift us of our life, you know? So another part of awakening is learning information, like awakening to the truth. So some of us, we might awaken to the idea like doctors, there's an awful lot of corruption in the big pharma, in the governments. Chemicals are bad for us. We don't need the drugs as much as we need natural diet, lifestyle, and herbs, etc., etc., etc. Nature's elements and all that. So that can be a form of waking up. But we can still also be identified in our ego, where we wake up. We have information. For me, isn't really waking up. It's more like it can be part of our ego and our identity, and it can be a form of division, like me against you. You're different than me. We're fighting, or like we're at heads and fighting with each other type of idea. I'm separate to you. I'm better than you. Like I'm judging you. Like all of that, you can do with that with any information. But when we do more heart awakening and mind freeing or awakening, like I kind of described a minute ago, it's a very deep form of awakening. But I do feel awakening comes like different ways for different people. Like we can have different losses or so one of my biggest points is, and I mean this from my heart, is I'm not here to judge anyone how or when they awake. It's okay if someone like knows all about stuff like the truth or conspiracy theories, etc. Just call it the truth, you know. It's okay, and we all serve a different role. Like, you know, some people, we all have different paths. We all do different practices. Some people might meditate, some people might not meditate. There's loads of things we can do holistically to change our energy or vibration. It's okay. Like some people like knitting, some people like swimming in the sea. So I like sunbathing and running, but I'm not a sea person. But some of my closest friends they like the sea more. It's okay. Like I just want to enlighten. I want to lighten our spirits, you know, by saying it's okay. Like we don't have to be all the same. We don't have to judge each other. And we all wake up at the perfect time if it's meant for us in this lifetime. And we don't have to try and force or like pressurize our family members or our friends or neighbors to see our point of view, you know. I just want to help people to be in lighter frame of heart. It's all about the heart, really. Love is the answer.
Cheers. Yeah, love is the answer.
I can see you like that, Mark.
Love is the answer, not so, Liam. I love it when my boys, I love laughing too.
Ah, that's beautiful. Me too, man. Me too. It's nice to be there with you. Little daddy.
Let me say something about that. What I experienced the last days. I'm connecting so much with a lot of people whom I friended on Facebook and through different kinds of directions. Sometimes I don't even know anymore where I met them and how I met them. But this one woman, I think we have the same. Yeah, it's about our mentor, Brandy Ridgway, with whom I'm in contact since 2014. And I joined one of his programs in 2014. That's how my journey started too, of the conscious creation, I would say. And she is interested in these topics too, and we connected because I was talking in one of my videos about homeschooling. And she is actually from South Africa, and she has a school by herself. She's not homeschooling, but she founded a school by herself. And it's actually for children with special needs. And I don't want to label my son with anything. But I see that he's quite a bit different than my other two kids.
Sure.
And I started through this conversation with her. We had also a long video chat a couple of days ago, and my son was looking into the camera and connecting with her, and I started to understand him. That he needs somehow something in between him and the person, something in between, and that's usually a cell phone, because he loves to play these video games and so on. But I realized that the reason why he's taking videos from each and everyone and everything is because he feels more safe this way. This barrier, this protection in front of him. Don't even know how I got this topic now. I guess it's because my son was laughing now beside me. And
so you had an insight into how your son works.
Yeah.
What feels good to him.
I mean, definitely the word autistic fell too in this conversation. And that's why I said I don't want to label my son with that. Yeah. But yeah, he has tendencies of kids who are similar like that. And but she said also, this woman, that that he is really blessed to have a father like me, who tries to understand him and really gives him the love he needs, no matter.
That's beautiful. And happy to hear that, Mark. It's beautiful.
As I said, I don't want to label him. I just say that he's special, like we're all special.
Yeah, we're all unique. Yeah.
We're all
I can
unique.
see why you mentioned it.
And everyone and each of us has his or her qualities and talents and unique abilities. So why label anyone with something or like know
I
someone with
know.
something?
Definitely, Otmar. I love the way. I really just warms my heart to hear this story. Okay, and even adults like who are normal can exhibit very dysfunctional or peculiar or odd or unnatural or unhealthy. We could use many descriptive words to describe them. And children exhibit an awful lot of higher self qualities, divine, beautiful qualities, open, curious, engaging, interactive, not overthinking, but feeling and living in the moment, following like joy and expressing themselves authentically and vulnerably and openly, crying in front of you, allowing themselves to feel angry. I know they're not like fully developed, but adult humans have a lot of development still. So yeah, I know. Just want to say, like, children are amazing, and often the adults who are judging other adults or other children, they have a lot of, they could learn a lot from the children. Is what I was going to say too, and they could learn humility too, instead of thinking they know everything better than the children. Because I've learned massively and grown and expanded from having children in my life, including some who may not be exactly on the totally stereotypical, considered normal or sort of range potentially. Absolutely.
I mean, the point where it started to, where I didn't like it anymore when he was in kindergarten now, and in March we had this lockdown, March and April here in Austria too, and the kids couldn't go to kindergarten anymore. And I would say for us it was definitely a blessing, because I didn't enjoy this experience with this kindergarten. And I said, if I am so stressed already with them, with these people there who are leading this kindergarten, and I said, I am stressed already, and I understand this world maybe a little bit better than my son. And how must he feel actually in this situation? And they're all the time trying to tell me that there's something wrong with him and that he has a delay with his speech development. And I said, I see where you're coming from and I see what you want to tell me, but I don't want that he gets the feeling that something is wrong with him.
Yeah, for sure.
And I decided not to bring him back to kindergarten when they opened in May again, which was definitely, I mean, it was a combination of different decisions. It was, first of all, I didn't want to, how David Icke says, acquiesce to this mask insanity, because I didn't understand why people have to wear masks. The adults have to wear masks, but the kids not. So this doesn't make any sense. The kids are interacting and exchanging all kinds of whatever they want to exchange there in kindergarten, and the parents have to come and wear a mask. Doesn't make any sense. I said, okay, that was the trigger actually, what triggered my decision. But the other things was also that's what I just told you, that they wanted to put my son into a special program or something like this. They even wanted to hire someone that this woman is taking care of him, especially.
I feel you, Otmar. I feel you.
Way.
Similar experience on my end also.
That's how I got also into this topic with homeschooling, because I tried to figure out how can I continue from here on now. And it's definitely a little bit a challenge, because now my wife is taking care of the kids, and that causes a little bit tension at home. But I think I speak for many people now when I'm telling this story, because a lot of parents are facing the same challenges now. I think around 100%. The world we have these insane lockdowns and these insane rules, and who knows where it will lead us. But what is important is this, what we just talked before, waking up the truth, what But I'm talking about the real truth, not what is presented on us on the official narrative and
Yeah.
the official story. And I know
Yeah, of
it
course.
best. Sorry that I talk so much now, but I know it best. I
Fine.
work
Happy
for
to
a
hear.
TV station for the Austrian Broadcasting Corporation, and I have no fear anymore to say it out loud for whom I work. I'm just a
Yeah.
technician, and I couldn't work there as a content provider because I couldn't lie so much to the people as these content providers are lying.
Wow.
I I still have even a slight problem with it that I'm also contributing to these lies by being a technician. And I
Yeah.
definitely have a
I love
choice
that.
to end all this, but at the moment it seems to be more beneficial for me to keep this
Yeah.
job so that I can provide for my family. But that's why I know how much lies they put out there. And also this all this kind of fear mongering, and I could go on and
Yeah.
on for hours to talk about this, but
Yeah.
what is my intention, and I don't make this as a topic for my podcast, but my intention is also to give people also something like a trigger to wake up and to question things and not to accept everything what they see on TV as the truth. And to use common sense, first of all, what I just said about the masks when I see in kindergarten.
It doesn't even feel right, and it's just the invisible enemy. And yeah, it's just like there's so much we could talk about on that. Like you may have talked a lot about that already in previous guests,
Not
but
really.
yeah,
As I said, I don't want to talk too much about it because there's so much
sure.
information out there already. I want actually to talk more about the solutions. What can we do to live in freedom as we started the podcast episode
Oh
here
yeah,
and to live, yeah, to
yeah,
choose
for sure.
to choose what can we do to choose a self a
Well,
life that we
mm,
can create by ourselves. What is
yeah,
your point of view on this?
in terms of freedom, yeah. Well, I know. When I said that, I wasn't thinking in terms of like freedom in today's world. It was more like inner freedom, regardless of what's happening in the world,
I,
which I talked about at the beginning. But
yeah, no, but what
I,
I'm saying is I'm coming back to this mask topic. There's no chance to avoid it nowadays. But when I talk about freedom is also that I say I choose not to wear mask.
I choose not to wear a mask. Yeah, and
In
apparently, mate.
I'm
Yeah.
doing that. I'm not going very often to the shops because I don't enjoy it, and luckily my wife is doing that lately very often, but she's not
Yeah.
enjoying it either to wear a mask.
I go to the shops all the time, bro. Like I go to the shop every day, maybe two or three or four shops. Like I'm a big shopper. I'm actually a minimalist by nature. I have very few possessions in general, but I happen to go shopping for fruit or food
Mm.
on a regular, almost daily basis because I just like that and I'm happy to do that. But so I'm always going to shops and I just never wear a mask. And at the beginning, I was a bit more uncomfortable. These days, I'm totally accustomed to it.
Mm.
Like for the way I feel is it's my. I don't exactly think it's like it's my shop, but it's like it's my shop, it's my world, it's my life. Like I'm allowed to be here if I want. I can do what I want to do with
I, I,
integrity.
I
No,
decided if someone would ask me to wear a mask and would insist on that, I would just leave the shop. But so far, nobody asked me. Or actually, one time somebody asked me, but they didn't enforce it or somehow because they have no. They are not the police and authorities. They can't enforce it. I just
and what
said,
are the
okay,
police
thank you for
anyway?
reminding me. I
Yeah,
have what I wanted to buy. Have a nice day.
exactly. And then you have to ask yourself, like, what is the police anyway? I think that one of the massive forms of empowerment and spirituality is thinking or feeling or believing that someone is superior to you. It's a bit like ordinary school. There's an awful lot of indoctrination and lies, and like just they're building a good citizen or a community, like a soldier or something. It doesn't. So okay. So my point is, we're afraid of the teacher. We're afraid of the school headmaster or the. It's all about signing away our power as if we're subordinate or beneath somebody. We're not a big, powerful, massive divine being and a beautiful human being. Like, so for me, I walk in my power. Unless I'm feeling like really shitty that day and I happen to feeling like just very tired or emotionally upset. On some of those days, I just don't want any particular attention. But I still, in those days, I'd probably just try and minimize shopping. But so far, I haven't worn a mask into a shop. I've gone into shops loads of times in the last few months. Maybe approximately 6 or 7 times I've been asked for a mask. I just say I'm exempt. I don't even bother saying I'm medically exempt because I'm not going to give my authorization to the medical community. I know who I am. I live by my love and honesty and integrity and truth. I respect other people, but I'm not going around hurting anyone. Listen, we know ourselves. Masks are bad for our health. People have died from collapsing or conking out while driving wearing masks or whatever the case may be. It's just a form of slavery. It's not about controlling the virus. It's about controlling the people. And it's about them trying to have an agenda appear. But I'm not buying into their story. Like I say to some other people, I'm not going to get into the mind of a psychopath and think or believe their dream. I'm going to envision my dream as a creator, and I'm going to put my focus and energy there, play my part, keep my vibration as healthy and high as possible in general, and take some actions that happen to be down my lane. There's tons and tons and tons of, like, whatever word you want to use to describe them, awakening people, light workers, or else there's people on the sides of good, or whatever you want to call it, like in every profession, police, dentists, doctors, your neighbors. They're just good and bad in every, lawyers, people in power. Like, there's people in power and in high positions and in the governments who are good and bad, So like, there's a bit of a battle, so to speak, of light and dark at the moment, and we all do what we're able to do. I'm not like a politician, but I'll let those lawyers and politicians make up laws against the people creating criminal laws. I'll let the people do the legal stuff because that's not my forte. I'll do my thing that I'm good at, and you do your thing. You're like, look at you, and everyone listening now. We're learning. We're doing our thing. So that's what we do to contribute and to play a part in the mass awakening and mass increase of consciousness. And the way I see it is now, this is a bit like a birth of a new planet. And during or before birth, there's birth pains or maybe contractions or maybe discomfort. So usually before we wake up, the dream has to become a bit more nightmarish. So we have done and are going through the certain nightmarish place on earth. And I do believe it's going to be the beginning of a new age. It's just going to take a bit of time. There's going to be a bit of turbulence, but we're going to give birth in the next, like right now, we're having some contractions. We're going to give birth in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, probably more like 3 to 5 years, but I don't know. It could be sooner. As we globally raise our consciousness, because that's what it's about, the age of Aquarius, I feel like as more and more of us individually do the work and allow ourselves to have our consciousness increase, it affects the whole consciousness of the entire planet, And I hear we've gone too far forward now, and there's no going back, and we will ascend, as some people say, into 4 and 5D energies and virtues.
I love that perspective, this metaphor of giving birth.
Yeah.
That really, I got goosebumps now when you were talking about it. It was really,
I'm excited to talk about it.
It gives me, this kind of energy what we need. And giving birth is every woman can talk about this who gave birth already, that it's a painful process. It doesn't really have to be. I think I never talked with a woman about this who gave really natural birth, but I saw videos on YouTube from women talking about that, and I realized that this is also a thing what is told to us by the medical industry, that it has to be painful. But the natural way is maybe also painful, but maybe also a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's the natural way. There's less resistance. It seems to be less resistant natural way of giving birth
Yeah.
in a
My
natural
wife is actually pregnant and we're
environment.
due in 2 months.
To do it in a natural environment, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. That
Yeah.
seems to be much less resistance.
Yeah. My wife is pregnant and we're due in 2 months. And we'll be having a home birth.
Okay,
So since we're on the topic, so
that is.
um,
Yeah, I know it can be also a very intimate topic for each and every woman, but
yeah.
if there's any way that you are or she wants to share the experience, then I would be very interested to hear about that, how it went.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it for yourself, it's okay with me too.
Yeah, I'll say it to her. I'll pass it on for sure. Yeah, see how she feels about that. She's very much into children and yeah, everything revolving children and women and births. Like, yeah, she likes these topics.
I just remembered because just for my listeners, they might know it. For the listeners who listen to many episodes, might know it already. That I made a course with London Real Broadcast Yourself, and actually there were about more than 100 people on this course. So I have a lot of fellow podcasters, and I just remembered one woman. She lives in Costa Rica too, and she gave birth to 5 children.
Wow.
And she is actually talking in her podcast about that topic.
Oh, that'll be a good one, yeah. Lots of experience. Yeah, we've been watching some videos.
Yeah, she's really also in this kind of natural way.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
it's
is
more
actually
natural.
That is actually what I don't know how to say it. I'm more and more I want to go back to the roots where we came from. I don't say that I want to get rid of all the nice things around us, because if we wouldn't have this technology, we couldn't even make this interview.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As the guest in my last interview said, the digital world can be beneficial to us, but it should be a surplus onto our real life. It shouldn't replace our real life.
Yeah, precisely. It's about balance, harmony, or maybe integration. Kind of balance and harmony is the end result, probably.
Because the benefit, what I see, I can connect with people around the world, no matter where they are. I couldn't connect with you so easily if you are in Ireland now and I am in Austria.
Yeah,
that is definitely a benefit, and we don't have these restrictions, these spatial restrictions that we can't connect because we're in different places. But at the same time, I go out every morning for a walk. You actually told it to me too. That is something what gives you energy, that you go out in nature regularly.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, huge. It's a huge part of
that I connect with. I don't know how to say it, with this reality, with this nature, with this abundance, what surrounds me, not with these bits and bytes what are flowing over my screen here.
Yeah.
And definitely when I see your picture there on my screen, then I don't say I see the picture on my screen. I envision this Owen Fox whom I knew when I was there in Ireland. I envision you sitting there in this room and not the picture here on my screen.
Yeah, that's good. Cool, yeah. I like that. Yeah, that's actually a nice way. Yeah, I like that.
Really a connection between two souls.
Yeah.
And the technology is just a tool to connect us.
Yeah. Tool, yeah.
But it's not not less for me, just a tool. I mean, some people might even say in the future we might not even need this tool anymore. When we really awaken to our abilities that we could connect without such tools.
Sure, our consciousness. Yeah, no, I heard that before. Yeah. So yeah, it's just
I had such experiences in my life, and it was a long time before the internet existed, and a long time before I knew what was a computer. And it was also somehow technology involved, because I remember that I was thinking of someone, and this person called me on the phone in this moment.
Yeah, exactly, that type of stuff. Yeah, of course. Yeah, energy. Yeah, telepathy and long distance.
I mean, I realize now that I reminded myself, I realize I should focus maybe more on that. Because I tend sometimes to forget those experiences, and that I am actually also able to do it, to connect with other beings, not only human beings, even if they're far away from me.
Yeah, I know, it's a nice thing to practice. Like, it's something we can all practice, like our psychic abilities, etc. In the summertime when the weather is fine, reach on up.
Yeah, that is a great introduction for the next part of our interview. So we were talking about psychic abilities of human beings, and I wonder, actually, because that is also about relationships, and you were telling me that relationships, you think that is a part of your spiritual growth and healing, and that it's essential for to grow.
And our relationships tend to offer the most growth potential, because it's having a loss is one thing, and I've had massive health loss in my life, and I've had some trauma in my past, of course. But when we're awakening already, relationships are our grounds to practice. It's where we can see everything happening. It's interactive. Whereas if we just simply lose our job, or if we lose our health, or there's all forms of losses that are incredible opportunities. Like, they're transformative. They can be sad, like all sorts of emotions entailed. But the point I want to make is, a lot of us are in relationships, or we want to be in a relationship if we're not in a relationship. But when we are in a relationship, it depends on the people, but it can be much more challenging. Like, mine have always been very challenging, to be honest. And I just think it's because me and my partners have had a lot of trauma, so we're unraveling and undoing. So there's a lovely way, like, we can say, like, one of the things that I like to say in my videos, okay, I want to share it, is, I don't know, it's been a very transformative and challenging last many years in my relationships, and I can see how, as I've evolved, I can look back and see the lessons or the mistakes, or the things that did work and the things that didn't work. But basically speaking, with somebody else there, they do stuff that we don't like sometimes, or a lot, depends on and then we get upset. But what they do is they trigger our emotions. So what I want to say is, like I said in the writing part, learning about our triggers and our shadow work, our pain body, all of this thing is a huge part of what I do in life. So it's like the way to see the sun, you got to take away the clouds, so there's nothing obscuring the sun. It's like a bit like our higher self, our divine self. We have a lot of clouds obscuring our light shining out. This is kind of what I mean earlier on. Like, to get to that place where you feel really good or confident and well and like strong and powerful, like in an empowered state of higher frequency in any moment, because our frequencies alter with some high or low, etc. You have to do self-healing and self-reflection, and some people call it self-work, and you have to practice self-care and self-love. You got to learn what self-love is and self-care is, and you got to be able to realize where your emotions, like where you're not succeeding, so to speak. Not that it's a success failure type of like judgment or analysis, but where it's not really working out idealistically, etc. So we've got to like survey or analyze our life, not just only mentally, but definitely heart centeredly. Like for definitely like I said earlier, like love is the answer, and being on our heart is where we have the most power. For example, if someone like, let's say, steps on your toe or like stops, like cuts you off in traffic or whatever the case may be, or if somebody dumps us, like somebody rejects us or someone raises their voice to us, people respond differently. So it's more like someone with a trauma or an unhealed wound related to this event, or it could be a similar event. Like, so, for example, if someone, this is called like a trigger, and this is what's called shadow work, is we find out what the root of our emotions. So what we typically do in a certain stage of our emotional maturity or emotional development is we just simply blame everything. We blame all of our emotions on the person closest to us in life or somebody around us. It could be almost anybody. It even some people go. We can even go as far as blaming our pets. Like this is something that I've seen with myself.
Yeah.
So like it even goes to as simple as if we don't get good enough sleep and we're tired and cranky or grumpy the next day, or if we overwork or we have really late nights consecutively, or we don't get enough. Yeah, I already said we don't get enough sleep. And let's say we overdo anything, or we underdo nutrition, we overeat, we eat too late. There's a million things, or we have our monthly cleansing, body healing moment called menstruation. When we're removing toxins or doing a detox plan, when toxins are being eliminated, any of these things I just said, it can make our physical body not well. And then we're emotionally not well and crabby or like emotionally irritable. And then what we usually do is we find a way to like somehow somebody leaves the door open and doesn't wash the dishes. And then suddenly we're already in a bad mood. Like, I'm like, you like, we blame the other people. It could be anything. Like, so they don't do what we perfectly want. And often we may not even ask them or communicate them to do what we want. But because we're already feeling poor either physically or combined with it, or it could be even just not feeling poor physically, because we can be feeling good physically, but also then have emotional, unresolved wounds from our past and trauma. But it's even made worse and trickier if we have the physical discomfort and like absence of wellness and energy in our body too. And it reminds me of like babies, like often if a baby's crying, we say, there, do you have some wind in your tummy, or do you need to have a nap? Often, like adults are the same. Maybe we should talk. Like
Yeah,
I was
that's
having fun
true.
exploring I was having fun exploring the idea with my friend. Like maybe that's what we should talk to each other, not only just like children, because I used to sometimes say we should talk to each other like children, like to a certain degree. Sometimes maybe we should talk to each other like babies. Are you okay? Do you need a nap? Like it's kind of like a joke, but usually we
Yeah.
get very harsh at another person who is like, not the way we would perfectly love them to be.
Thank you
But
so
we
much for
wouldn't,
the reminder. I was just
yeah,
thinking about the relationship between me and my wife, and as I said, there was a lot of tension lately.
yeah.
And maybe
Tell me
I
about
was not aware of that, what you were just telling me, that
it.
there is some
Join the club
unresolved things with her, maybe.
for sure, man. If like, and and me, like
Yeah, of course, I take
we all have,
responsibility too for that. For a
yeah,
relationship, there's at least two people involved.
yeah. It takes two to dance, and most problems are definitely two people. Occasionally, it's nearly always two people, but on the rare occasion, it's one person quite a lot more. But it doesn't matter who does it first. So don't just fall into the trap of thinking, oh, you started it, you're the now this rare occasion, or it's always you because you started. Because that's how I used to think. But it's also how we react to somebody who reacts first. So it doesn't matter who reacts first. If you react second, you're just playing the part. You're doing the dance. You're making the ball keep rolling. So I used to play the victim as if they started it, and I used to think I was righteous, and I'd even maybe possibly, I just, yeah, I did, I reacted in a negative way that didn't help the situation at all. But I used to think I was right and they were wrong because they started it. But now I understood they were messengers they were bringing up emotions. They were a messenger that activated this emotion within me, which was coming from my past. So they were messengers, mess enders. messengers. So they're helping to end the mess in me.
Oh, now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. A messenger.
Okay.
So, like, let's say our partner rejects us. Like, for example, I ended up for some reason like not kind of breaking up with a lot of the people I dated in the past. Okay, but
Mm.
a few years ago, somebody ended up ending the relationship with me. Okay, and I had high hopes for the relationship. So they triggered a very big amount of emotions that were dormant in me from childhood, but still playing a significant effect in my life and my
Mm.
decisions. Definitely, they were. So the plan is, so what I did, I realized thankfully then, and this is a very transformative part in my life, that I was able to realize, I realize it now more, but I was able to realize to a degree then too, to a large degree, it wasn't coming from them or what they did. It was really what was coming up within me. It's
Mm.
separate, it's different, you know. And so all I did was I was, for around 2 months, I had very heavy emotions. It was very unpleasant. Like, I wasn't my usual happy or fun self. I was coming down a bit, like, you could call it a bit depressed, but it wasn't like a typical normal depression. It was just like feelings and energy circulating and being released by me. So I didn't tell a big, I didn't like think like way excessively or like think myself into depression or anything. It was just energy being felt, and I felt it and I accepted it and it moved through me. And
Mm.
then 2 months later, it just suddenly subsided by over a 2 day period. Like one day it was like half the emotional heaviness, and then the following second day it was like a 95 reduction in the total amount of heaviness. So it was much more back to normal, maybe 90 to 95% reduction. So I felt pretty good again, and I was able to laugh, be happy, have a bit of fun instead of like. So it brought up a whole lot of like sadness in me from childhood, from school, because up to the age of 18, I had, and up to the age of 8. So my dad was with me to the age of 8, and that's when our family separated. And then from 8 to 18, I was involved in school where I felt just like I did before, like when I was at home with my dad. I felt very insecure, vulnerable, alone, sort of raw, like lonely. I
Mm.
felt like not weak or tender, but just vulnerable and insecure. Like I felt like defenseless, or like I felt disempowered, or I felt like it just didn't feel good. So these feelings were brought up when my ex partner decided to like, not be in a relationship. So these type of things happen all the time in relationships where they trigger us. So part of emotional evolution and massively raising our vibration and consciousness is emotional healing or emotional
Mm.
maturity. And basically that means, for me, if I could summarize it, it means I had to go through a process where I basically really eliminated and cut down on, over a period of time, stopping wronging the other person or
Mm.
shaming them or blaming them. So I took responsibility for my emotions, and sometimes I might say, I'm not blaming you, or this is my I take responsibility for my emotions. This is just how I'm feeling. So it's not like an attack or a blame game, which is usually what relationships tend to be all about in the 3D energy field, the 3D frequency. So the quotations that I really like to say to myself sometimes is, I'm 100% responsible for my emotions, and I'm 100% responsible for the quality of my experience or my life, my moment. So when we take the responsibility, give it back to us, we become empowered, and we stop becoming at the mercy and the hands or the victim of somebody else. And that's when we can stop attacking and fighting and start to make a lot of progress. And in my own relationship, it's been very transformative. I made huge progress when I started stopping to do blaming, shaming, or wronging, and taking responsibility for my emotions and my experience. So
Yeah.
nobody's perfect, and it's a process. Like, I've been under a process for a very long time. It's been a process of a million lessons, and for me, relationships are definitely the trickiest, because you're
I
not just
think,
dealing with your own emotions, you're dealing with other someone else's. And yeah.
yeah, you just said something what is also, I think it's a very important point, taking responsibility.
Summertime when
Yeah.
the weather is fine. Reach on up.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Enjoying life, enjoying life. I'm enjoying life together with you, Owen.
Thanks, Otmar. Me too. Me too, bro.
I'm so grateful that you are such a cheerful person. And
Try
I
to be.
know there were times in your life where you maybe had to find your joy in life again. So how do you maintain this?
Well, first I want to say is I'm not always cheerful. I'm the same as everybody else to a certain degree. You know, I'm human. So, secondly, I want to say when I went through that period of very heavy emotions from my past coming up, there was no pretending or like bypassing the just being down, very overall very down, and just feeling really poorly each day for around 2 months. You can't Sometimes you can't pretend or trick yourself into feeling happy when really like authenticity you're just feeling like shit, and you just got to like admit that to yourself and be okay, learn to be okay with that and to feel your emotions instead of trying to distract yourself with, like, let's say for example drugs or it could be anything. It could be like could be way too much sex, or it could be like masturbating and watching porn loads, or it could be a habit that's just not that great for you. But at the end of the day, a part of real happiness and longer lasting, consistent, general happiness is about emotional maturity. So you can't just like sort of, in a way, you can't just sort of over skip the stages of evolution that lead to more consistent happiness. So like I'm definitely easily the most happiest I've ever been, but I'm not necessarily the most sort of cheerful or outwardly appearing happy I've ever been. So the message I'd like to give to anyone who's watching would be there are ways we can do to be happy, and it's very important to do these things, especially if we're in a relationship, because we can get it's easier when you're not in a relationship because you have all the free time to do whatever you want to do. When you're in a relationship, you have more ties and responsibilities as well as less time to yourself. So we can get sometimes lost in a relationship. We can lose ourselves, especially if another person is like overpowering, overbearing, or you just have a lot of arguments or disconnection, or you just happen to spend all your time with them, which is imbalanced. So, so what I'm talking about now would be, for me lately in my life, it's about, because I did lose myself in my relationship. I went to a healer once and they said I felt, whoa, they were kind of saying, wow, I can really feel like you feel like smothered or buried, like, and I did, you know. But I went to the same healer today, funnily enough, and I'm not like that at the moment. So I had to go through a process in the last year or so of learning to not just give, but to give to the other person, but to give to myself. I also learned at the same time what it is that I like or need. I had to learn about my needs as well as my wishes or likes or enjoyments in life. So what I'd suggest would be is to like figure out or find out what you like. It might be related to your past. It could be a game. It could, like, for just talk about myself. Okay, these days I like to always move my body. I like to be in nature. I like to go for a run sometimes, or even a cycle or a walk. I like to go out to the road where our kids play, and sometimes go on the scooter, or if someone has a skateboard, I might have a little tiny go of just skateboard, or I might go on like a different kids type of little thing, like just moving and playing, engaging in with the children a little bit in that regard. Sometimes, not every day by any stretch, not every day. I mean, I like to play chess. I have an app on my phone. Chess brings me, I need mental stimulation and challenge. It's something I just like it. I enjoy it. I like the puzzle. For me, life is the biggest puzzle and the biggest challenge and the biggest game. But inside of that, relationships are the hardest and biggest challenge. And okay, for me and probably for most people, like it takes a very high degree of mastery or consciousness to be really good at relationships. You know, in my opinion, especially if we have had a lot of trauma, like I have, or your partner has a lot of trauma, or even a medium amount. There's an awful lot of there's tons to learn in a relationship, and there's a million opportunities, tons of opportunities where they can trigger you, and your cheerfulness gets offset. So finding out, encouraging your partner and learning what we like, and encouraging them to do what they like and to be happy. It could be a hobby, it could be knitting, it could be running, it could be dancing, it could be swimming, it could be cycling, it could be rock climbing, it could be nature walking, it could be canoeing, it could be doing arts and crafts or painting or drawing, it could be singing. I've probably already said that. It could be just sort of going out and having a tea or a coffee or a hot chocolate or chai latte in the shop, like once every day or two or something like that. Like we need to get away. We have many needs. Like it's hard. I'll talk about my needs. Okay, like I need to move my body. I need to have spend time with family and children, and like I need to spend time with adults. I can't be just always with children. I don't think any mother or father can always be with children. Like we also I and most people have a need to potentially to create. I have to have an inspiration to create and to help others. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be fulfilled or satisfied happily, properly in life. So it's not just about playing chess. It's not just about moving my body. It's a mixture of many things. We have mental needs or spiritual or inspirational or creative or physical needs. So if we don't do the whole web of needs or wishes and things we find fun, happy, lighthearted, and enjoying. Like another thing I do, if we don't do all of them, we'll have an overall lessening of our happiness and joy and cheerfulness in life. Someone's need extroverts have much more outward needs with meeting people and mingling or chatting or joking or just saying hello, or I'm more of an extrovert. But I've balanced up throughout the years. I used to be much more extroverted, and now I'm much more close to 50-50. But as an introvert, I need time to myself too. So introverts need much more time to themselves typically, and they get renewed and enlivened with quietness and time to themselves. I get renewed and recharged with time to myself, but I get enlivened much more with people. But too much people and interaction can be tiring and draining. So I need quiet time and alone and like space to recharge and to renew myself. Okay. So anyone listening might find themselves as some of what I'm saying, and you have to figure out for yourself what brings you happiness and joy. So some people could be writing a journal or a blog or poetry or playing music, learning an instrument. It could be like decorating your home. Like I think the women in my life tend to be much more a home decorator. I'm more of a minimalist, and my partner loves to like make fun things, fun setups for the children. I'm a bit more involved with adults, like in terms of my work or my passion or my purpose. Yeah, her passion, purpose, etc. work will revolve around children more. I love children and I love to be with children, and I admire and learn from children. They're beautiful qualities. But I also am heavily engaged with adults more so as well, So I have this need to help, and we all have to find out how can we help if we have the need or the wish to help.
I remember that when I met you, you were giving some kind of coaching. Do you still do that?
Yeah, I love it. I still do that, definitely. Yeah, I do. I call it holistic life coaching,
because you were just saying helping other people and.
Yeah, I do relationship coaching. Relationship coaching is like the most challenging and it's most dynamic, and you have to pay the most attention and really feel into the situation because it's very tricky, and you have to also try and understand both people's perspective to a certain degree. So I really love the biggest puzzle and challenge in life, which is relationships. I love to do that and help people in that regard. It's very tricky. You have to learn to listen, to give, to receive, or to give and communicate. There's so much like. So I do that. I do health coaching, holistic health coaching, holistic life coaching, body, mind, spirit, herbs, diet and lifestyle, cleansing, detoxing, all this sort of stuff. I do a whole lot of that sort of stuff. So I love self-healing and personal empowerment. Like that's a big passion of mine,
Yeah.
And I've made over 1,000, close to 1,800 videos now on YouTube in the last 10 years. So I've been pretty inspired. Even the iridologist said she can see in my iridology you have a lot of inspiration and creativity, and that's one of your needs, and you have to, that's important for you to do that. As well as the healers. Some of the healers will say, you got to be happy, do things too that you like.
I wanted to say for everyone who is listening now to this interview, I will be putting the links in the description how you can reach out to Owen. And also I remember you have a shop even which is called Higher Self Herbs.
Yeah, like our
you were just talking about herbs too. Definitely recommend to take a look there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I love to befriend people. I love to collaborate or work with people. I'm a very like amicable or like friendly person. I like people. I'm open to people. I welcome
I
newcomers.
guess
I like to connect.
my
Yeah.
audience got definitely to see how how you how you are. I mean, I don't find the
Yeah.
words sometimes. It's not my native language, English, and so
Yeah.
sometimes I'm
Well,
looking for the words. But I think everyone
incredible.
understands what I mean.
Big respect, Otmar. Like I respect and admire and appreciate you speaking in a second language. I do speak a second language, Spanish, and I
Mm.
self-taught myself Spanish and I self-taught myself some Japanese. But speaking another language is a whole new story. And for anyone living in a different non-native country and they're trying to communicate in someone else's language, massive respect and
I mean,
care or honor for them.
there's definitely two challenges what I had to face. First of all, it's not my native language. I decided to do this podcast in English. And second,
Incredible, man.
honestly, I tell you, even though I'm working as a broadcast engineer, I always worked behind the scenes. And the first time it was really a challenge to step in front of the camera and to be the host of a podcasting show. And
Yeah. Woo.
but the more I do
Happy.
it, the more I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's sweet. I feel with you, bro, because I feel a great sense of happiness and satisfaction making YouTube videos or
Mm,
even any video platform. It might be BitChute I'll be moving to because I think YouTube is censored a lot,
mm,
and as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So I feel your happiness. So I am in another form. We all need to be creative, even if it's creating. Like some people love gardening. Create something. Put your imprint on the world. And
yeah,
another way we can get very happy in life and be cheerful is spend time with people who you resonate with and like you and respect you and you respect. And there's an even or a nice energy exchange. So that's very important because humans tend to be social creatures. So stay in touch with your family if you're abroad or even living in the same country. Stay in touch with certain family members if you resonate with any family members or friends, or see a healer. Like even though I'm very on point about like my own self growth and healing and advancements spiritually in life. I go to healers regularly, like here and there throughout the year, to get top ups, attunements, like bringing your car to get a checkup, or like
mm,
sometimes we have blind spots that we can't see in relationships or in life, things that we're doing that aren't working. You can call them mistakes if you want, but and yeah, I do recommend healers an awful lot.
yeah.
Um, just it. And I love the sun. So if you have a favorite element or if you love nature, like that, these are ways. Anything you
Yeah.
do physically or diet and lifestyle, that'll all make you happier too, because body, mind, spirit are truly connected as one. And if we, like I said earlier, if you don't get enough sleep or it's something's happening physically, you have a big headache or you have a big pain in your body, you're gonna be more grouchy and sad and unfriendly and grumpy and irritable. So
Mm.
looking after your physical avatar, your body, is instrumental to happiness and joy and inner peace.
There's
Because when
actually,
our body is irritated, we'll be irritated emotionally.
mm,
So get
there's
in contact with with nature's elements, the sun, barefoot, swimming in the
definitely.
sea, lake, river, stream, or ocean, sunbathing and sun gazing potentially,
Mm,
deep exercising, deep breathing, just when to breathe properly. Posture is very important too. There's an
mm,
early nights is better, or at least if you don't have early nights, get enough sleep. But early nights is much more powerful than later nights. You optimally
mm,
align with nature and the sun.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
guess today we are not really practicing this with the late night, but
Doesn't matter. It's
yeah.
okay. It's not a strict rule. It's just a general overall.
Um, I remembered a few things what I experienced the last days or a couple of weeks, and it just fits perfectly into this what you just said, and that's why I want to bring these stories. The first thing is what I remembered is we went to a friend who has a farm. He's actually a co-worker too, with whom I work together at the TV station. And they have horses,
Oh, yeah, cool.
and his girlfriend, she is teaching kids horseback riding.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
And of course, it was for the kids, it was a great experience, but for me, it was also an awesome experience, even though I was not sitting on the horse, but I I had the chance to connect with this horse on
Yeah.
such a close, deep level. What I've never done before. I was always scared of these big, huge animals. And yeah, I'm now a tall man, like 1 meter 80 tall, and I'm almost the same height like the horse, but still I have this respect because I know this animal has a little bit more muscle power than me and could kick the shit out of me
Kick you into
if it
heaven.
wants to. But what I realized too on this day, yeah, Celine is, my girl is singing us a song too. And I realized it's actually the horse doesn't want to do that. Especially this one was a very calm horse.
Yeah.
It would do it basically, I guess, only how the riding teacher, she was explaining it, if the horse gets scared or if you do something unconscious, it might get scared and yeah.
Kick you.
And
Yeah.
I was standing there quite nervous because I had to take care of the kids too.
Yeah.
And then she said she went into the stable and she got something like a blanket or something like a saddle. And then I was standing there. She said, okay, yeah, you take care of the kids. And she left me there alone with the kids and the horse.
Wow.
And the horse was turning the head to me and looking into my eyes. It was such an amazing experience to look into this animal's eyes. It's like, yeah, looking into into her soul, because it was a female horse. Yeah, that was really, and I lost definitely this nervousness on this day. I really connected with this animal. Yeah. It was really a really great experience. And the other thing is, a couple of days ago, I went on a not too high mountain, but I walked on a mountain again, and I drank water from a creek which was flowing out of directly out of the mountain. It was spring water, definitely.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love this. Beautiful. Yeah.
It was also raining on this day, so yeah, the water was really pure, what I was drinking there, and I definitely will go back to this mountain and drink water again.
Felt very happy in nature and connecting with the horse.
Yeah, that's why two different stories with the mountain and the horse, but I brought it because you were talking before about going out in nature, connecting with nature.
Big time, yeah.
And I also ate wild herbs.
Cool.
Yeah, I was standing there. It was nothing special. It was just dandelion. And what was the other thing? How is it called? They're growing plentiful there, these purple flowers. And especially rabbits love them too. I don't know if you have them in Ireland too. It's clover. Clover.
I call them red. Just
and
for
I was just eating the flowers because they have a really interesting taste.
Yeah.
I was making actually once a salad out of it, of these flowers and dandelion.
I have a playlist on my YouTube wall, or my about wild greens, foraging wild edible plants. So I have all videos of.
I would definitely rewatch this because I watched a few of your YouTube videos about wild herbs, and I have to say, actually, you are one of the people who inspired me to try to eat wild herbs, because the reason why I think most of the people are scared is because they might mix up these herbs with something what could be potentially poisonous.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah,
and the same is with me. I was really scared in the beginning that I eat something what is not so beneficial for my health.
Yeah, know what you're doing first, definitely.
And with dandelion and with clover, it's quite easy going because you can identify this very easily. But with other herbs, it's a little bit more tricky, maybe. And I mean, I found a bush too with this. I don't know if you have them in Ireland too. These black berries.
Yeah, we have
It's
them.
called like something like also belladonna or something in Latin.
Oh, I'm not too sure about
Definitely
this one.
very, very poisonous, this thing. I found this
It
bush
must,
too on my walk.
oh, I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, and
They,
possibly yeah, possibly hemlock.
they
Well,
used, I think they used it in the ancient times even to kill people.
hemlock. Yeah, it's hemlock. Yeah. Getting back to what you said about looking the animal in the horse, you felt love and you felt connection. Connection is actually the word that I use to describe love in a very simple way. The most describing other word for love. So when the way we feel connected to our children or maybe to our parents, we never want to hurt them or use them or exploit them or have anything bad happen to them. When you don't feel connected, you don't feel the love typically. So if you want to if you want to feel more love, think about why you're not and everything. People, plants, animals, insects, and even Mother Earth and her elements, etc. And for me, the word connection is an enormous part of happiness, because love is such a vibration. We all know it feels so good and happy, good to be loving, to feel love in our hearts, and to express love. There's a very feeling, and that's a huge part of being happy in life, as well as all the other little like things as well. And it also reminded me when you tell me that story is usually when people are arguing or fighting and hurt and upset, we don't look each other in the eyes. We just tend to talk and we're not looking at each other. And I still do that sometimes, actually, for sure, when we're both really upset. But something you reminded me of, like, because the last time myself, my partner argued, and had some upsets, we weren't looking at each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes, it seems to be easier to say something unloving if you don't look into someone's eyes.
We feel for the person or the being. We make connection emotional and care. We care more. Otmar, just let you know, I'll have to be going around 6 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it's a perfect moment to end this nice conversation, because I think we talked very long already.
Yeah.
And you might have realized that my son is getting impatient too already, because he's playing games, hides the camera.
Yeah. Sure, man.
Definitely time to rest for all of us.
Beautiful. Divine synchronistic perfect timing, like we said before the video. Yeah, before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So thank you so much again, and I definitely would enjoy it if we can have another conversation.
Yeah, me too. We've got so much to talk about, so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, Otmar, and I wish you and your family, your children and your partner / wife, and your viewers all the best, and loads of love to all of you. It's all at the heart.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for the invitation. Okay. See you.
See you.
Yeah.